What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel where on this planet we send it. I'm Nathan, and on this video we are going to be doing a garden update, which is going to serve two purposes. Number one, it's going to give you guys an update on those who've been following along with where the garden is. And also, I just built a new PC for video editing. I'm going to be using this video to go ahead and test out and see exactly how much better it is over to the laptop that I was using. I'm expecting big things. I've already had one letdown, but that will be coming up more than likely on the next video. All right, let's send it. So we've been pulling about 8 to 10 strawberries every week, so maybe a little bit more. So this week we are in full production, and these things have just been absolutely tasty. As a matter of fact, next bunch will probably be coming in probably by the end, early next week is probably where we'll be seeing that at. Very briefly, the worms are doing good. If you recall, these two bins were doing great, and I had almost lost these two bins. I have seen, I've inspected them, and the worms, there's definitely still very few worms in here, but the worms that are in there are getting very big since they have so much food just to themselves. Kale Corner is doing just fine. Actually, it's doing really well. However, the hops vine is just taking over. This thing is just owning this entire corner now. And the cool thing is, let me get down here towards the end, the hops are starting to actually come in. So we'll be, this is the first time I'm growing hops, if you recall, and we'll see how long it takes for them to completely come in and for us to harvest them. The tomatoes and everything have been doing, these are the early blooming tomatoes. Haven't had too much of a harvest on them. We have had just a little bit. They're not growing too much. Actually, looks like a few of them down there might be ready to harvest. And but the other ones where we have this tomato plant, and a few more as we go down are doing just fine. Looks like the mint is this cancerous mint is starting to come through. So I need to go through again and rip out what I can before basically, I'm not going to be able to prevent it, I don't think, eventually from overrunning my garden unless I do something drastic with chemicals. We'll see what's going to happen with that. We have beets here, and then we got some beets down there, right about here. And as a matter of fact, we'll walk through here. So we got the tomatoes and everything. These are actually, these are looking good. And I'm going to have to come back and plant this up and get it mounted within the trellis so it can be supported by the cabling. And it looks like we're starting to get some beans in now too. That's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that was already up and coming around. Actually, that's doing pretty well. But yeah, with the beets, probably not going to plant as many come next season. We're just going to go ahead and plant a little bit because it seems like we're using the beets mostly for the leaves and salads. And otherwise, we just haven't used as many as I thought we were going to use. The plum and peach tree. We've had a few plums off this already, probably about 5 or so. Pulled 2 of them too early, but the other 3, let's see if this one's ready. I'm just shaking a little bit now instead of doing a gently pull, because it seemed like when I did a gentle pull, I pulled it a little too early, but if you just shake it and it falls off, then it's definitely ready. But we got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we probably have a little bit over 5 plums left, and the peaches are starting to come in, and they're already starting to get attacked by the birds, so they might be ready. As a matter of fact, maybe that one back there I'm going to go ahead and pull later, and we'll test it and see if it is, because it's pretty good size. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll even just double check, go on the internet and see, how do you determine when a peach is actually ready to be eaten? And that, I'm not sure. And that's going to be important. Well, it looks like we also got a lot of goji berries starting to come in right now, so I've been snacking on those over the last little bit. It's going to be important to know when the peaches are ready, because we got a lot of them coming in on this one right here. This peach tree is just absolutely healthy. I mean, it's now standing probably a good 6 foot 5 inches tall, and this thing is really just growing. So if you recall, I did prune off a branch over here on this side to make a space for the 2 semi-dwarf trees I got going on down here, and it looks like with this one down here, I am getting ready to go ahead and I'm just gonna cut it off here so that the focus is on this branch right there. Plus it looks like this one's already starting to die off. Let me see if I can get it in light. It's already starting to die off here at the end, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that after this video. The Mexican lime tree. Got probably, it looks to be maybe about 15, 20 so, maybe a little bit more limes growing right now, but it is also going through another growth spurt. And so got this going on right here. Looks like a weed's trying to get in there. Yeah, so it's getting about time towards, I'm probably gonna have to do some pruning on it. And maybe I'm gonna let some of these, I won't let the suckers that are coming in from the bottom come, but maybe I'll let a few more of these other branches come in and form stronger branches at the base, so I have more down low, because it's actually getting a little taller than I can reach by hand, and I do have a tool to reach the fruit at the top, but I would rather not have to do that. The fig trees. Okay, so if you recall, this one I took down to just the main trunk, and this smaller one right here was one that I planted, and it probably took until about the third year before it started to actually grow, but it is growing really well. I'm still having to remove the suckers from around this one. At least I'm doing the ones that are very close to this fig tree. This is the tiger striped. This is like, I guess, the purple one. And how I'm gonna end up growing here is come the end of the season, so I'm going to let everything for the most part grow as it is. Come the end of the season, probably going to end up pruning that branch and maybe this one that's right in front of me, because with an imaginary line here, I want this fig tree to grow on this side and this fig tree to grow on this side. The avocado tree, currently now being shaded by Big Bertha, which is starting to grow, which is just now beginning to grow some guava. Now, this tree is doing great. The avocado tree is doing great. It's not growing anything, not growing any avocados. Maybe it'll flower come next year, but you have new growth growing up all around it. The growth that's coming in is looking really healthy, especially like up here that's getting lots of sun. And then you can also see some of the older vegetation that is basically self-sacrificed it for the newer growth that is coming up all over. So what I'm enjoying with this tree is I'm, for the most part, with the exception of, maybe forming it a little bit, I'm trying to allow it to grow as wild as I can, and just basically support its natural tendency to grow up. So once the trunk here, which is starting to thicken, and that's very pleasing to see. Once it starts growing bark, I'm probably going to see if it can stand on its own. However, one thing I may consider continuing doing is guiding the top, the leading trunk, or the leading branch that's at the highest point, and keep it growing up. Now, obviously I don't want it to get too high because I'm short and it's hard for me to reach, again, with the exception of with the tool, but I'll probably go ahead and push the limits on the avocado tree just because avocados are expensive. Big Bertha. Here we are. Now, I have considered, and I'll probably talk with the family, maybe about having a professional arborer coming in, but we have growth coming in on this Big Bertha all over the place, and to include like the guavas that are coming in, and we really enjoy our guava just because we get so much of it. But I'm considering maybe getting an actual pruner, a professional pruner to come in to kind of help us guide. This is a really capable and massive tree, but as you can see, if you look in the back section here, it's getting in the way of this pomegranate. So maybe all I really want to do is just go ahead and cut that back one off, but we're going to see come after its production cycle this year. Maybe I'll just go in it on a loan, or maybe I'll actually pay someone to come out here. The pomegranate tree. Now, I'm actually noticed this year it's getting a little bit of a lean to the back. And so it's just like lean back, and I'm going to have to go ahead and fix this. So that's probably going to be another thing I had to do on the next camera is I'm going to get a stake and I'm going to pull the main branch this way because I don't want it to form leaning back. I want it to harden and basically build a support structure upright so later there aren't any issues, which this appears to be giving the current structure. Now, I do see, let's see if we can get in there. I want to step on a plant as I come around. You can see we do got, at least there's that one pomegranate. I think there's the early bloomer. There are some others that are kind of coming in. At least I see some flowers. I'm going to see 2 flowers in the same general area. And actually that might be all I'm seeing for right now. But the pomegranate tree is really growing healthy right now. We'll just go ahead and continue on here. We got some winter squash here that we've had some like mixed reviews on our winter squash. We'll see how it does this year. But it looks like we definitely got some potatoes growing up right here and back there behind the pomegranate tree. So it's not getting the best of sun, so we'll see how that affects the potatoes themselves, but we get some, and they are delicious when they're fresh. And we'll just finish up this section right here. the avocado tree here, I mean, these leaves are looking really good. And similar to the other one, I'm probably going to end up just coming back and chopping this one off, because you can see it's kind of here dying at the top right there. And so, especially right here. So yeah, it's probably best for me just to go and chop that down, and allow this tree to grow where it is and not spend any resources putting it to this dying section. And then here, it appears like we're starting to get some growth here on the sweet peppers, but you know, they're very small and it's not getting the leaf structure that it needs to grow the fruit. So I'm a little concerned on the size, but hey, we'll just send it, see what happens. And if you recall from the last one, as I told you, I needed to prune the ashwagandha back to allow for sun on the avocado, and that is what I have done. And where I did that at, it's already starting to grow back. Hey girls, how are you doing on the eggs? How are we doing on the eggs today? Let's take a quick look. Yep, doing really well. All right, I'll have to come and get those later. Yep, you girls all right? I know you want me to let you out. I got it. I understand, but you got to stay in there. You guys really be pooping over everywhere, and I don't like stepping in it. Now, I don't know if you're going to recall from the last video, but this papaya tree trunk is really starting to thicken. You can see it's forming bark here at the bottom and just above it's green, but it's really starting to thicken. In addition to thickening, we're starting to get a lot of new growth in. Actually, these leaves are really starting to look a lot better. So maybe what the papaya tree just needed was a little bit more heat, a little bit more sun, and it seemed to be pulling it out of whatever it was doing, and whatever that sort of, you know, that caused like these leaves to form. And so I'm kind of letting it go, but actually when the leaves start looking kind of dead and brittle like that, I go ahead and just pop them off, because I don't want them to sort of infect, if anything, the tree overall. And the orange tree here, you know, nothing special here. Looks like it's going through maybe a growth period here, trying to keep back some of the suckers at the bottom, but everything's still looking healthy. This is new growth here, so that's very pleasing. Let's see if we got any other new growth. Not seeing any new growth otherwise, but we do got some here, so that's good to see. Now, one thing where I'm absolutely happy to see, and I don't know how well this is coming in with the sun out, not necessarily shining directly on it, but this mango tree is really looking beautiful. Just have some nice, the purple leaves are now starting to turn green, and really starting to absorb the photo, you know, conduct photosynthesis, absorb the sun. And in addition, they already produced this, but they're getting ready to, they already basically shot up, and now they're already getting ready to grow again. So this is a great sign. And in addition to that, I went ahead and just chopped this back section where they were growing mangoes. I just chopped it down, but you can see they're already starting to grow more growth there, and we got new growth down here. Now normally for the sucker, I would go ahead and just chop these. You know what, maybe I might, but I kind of would like to keep, if possible, mangoes down low. So maybe I'm going to allow those, just maybe have, you know, 2, 3, 4 at the most suckers at the bottom. So you kind of have basically 4 or 5 main trunks coming up. And just when it gets to about my height, because I'm assuming come the next time this wants to flower, the flowers are going to be somewhat in this region right here, which is my height. And that makes it perfect for harvesting. So in this particular case, I'm going to experiment and allow the suckers on the mango tree to go ahead and grow, with the exception of not going to let there be more than about 3 or 4. But what I am going to do is I will probably come back, and all these leaves that are looking bad and crusty like this, I will probably remove these so they allow for more. And there's just all kind of ants over them. I'm not sure what's attracting them to the ants, but just removing these leaves so that I can allow more sun to get to these new leaves. So let's see here. Take these down. That's not too bad. This one doesn't look great. Oh, there's lots of pollen. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but I just got a whole lot of green pollen on my hands. So that's pretty interesting. You know what? Take down just a little bit more. And I do notice that the mango tree is starting to harden here. So it looks like it's strengthening. So I think it was definitely a wise idea to go ahead and allow the mango to not allow the mango growing this season, or at least this iteration, and let him come in later. So once the tree has strengthened up, the base has strengthened up a little bit more. I don't even know what the name of this tree is. It was here by the it was here from the previous owner. But the great thing about this time of the year is, I'm going to try to walk in a little bit closer here, is all the bees that it brings in at this time of the year to the garden. So they absolutely, this is a pollinator attractor, and I am just extremely happy when I see the bees. Sometimes, to be honest, it's a little intimidating because there can be, just seems like just a huge swarm in this tree. But for the pollinating factor, absolutely want to bring these guys in and allow them to do their thing, and hopefully see the other flowers in the garden and do their thing with that. The grapevine. You know, I attempted to bring in about 4 large clusters into work today and forgot them. And so I feel kind of bad that I didn't get to, that my co-workers didn't get to try them. But I brought in huge clusters like this size and just forgot it. So we'll be heading to the zoo tomorrow, and we'll be go ahead and having some grapes for tomorrow. And then maybe when another batch, once these get a little less green, I'll go ahead and bring in another batch to work. But we have all those grapes all the way. We got a good cluster there, a small cluster there, and I think that's about it where it ends. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed this quick update, kind of seeing where things are at. I know gardening videos, unless you're a gardener, are not that interesting, so you're probably not even watching this section. But for those who are with me section, I probably will be doing the computer build next. I just want to go ahead and take a look at the footage that I do have and see if anything's worthwhile. But I did quite a bit of footage. It's just going to take me a little bit to get through it, so that should be coming next. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.